Bonjour, my friend, and welcome back to What the Foss. I hope you're well, but I have to be honest with you, I am not really at my best right now. I feel kind of like I've messed up my environment. You know, as I sit here in this office that's now redesigned, drinking a mixed berry smoothie because I don't need to be a man and just drink beer and coffee all the damn time, I've realized that I have a flawed environment for the main reason that I have been basically slacking all day and putting this podcast off until the end of my workday. And the big reason that I've done that is because I have certain things in my environment that tend to distract me, that tend to get in the way of the things that I want to do or the things that I actually want to accomplish. And it's not that I want those things to be a distraction, they just happen to be something where I think it's going to be a quick little thing, and then it turns into something that basically takes up my whole day, and I haven't been as productive as I've wanted to be. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them that setting up your environment is one of the best ways to get the tasks done that you want to do. Setting up your environment at home or setting up your environment at work to be the most efficient that it can be. However, I felt kind of like a fraud because I was saying this, and after I said that, I really took a inclusive look at my own life and my own lifestyle and realized that I wasn't really following the words that I was saying as well as I could be. So today I wanted to talk about 3 of the key areas where your environment might be flawed and the ways that I'm doing my best to get around them myself. So the first area that I wanted to focus on is aesthetics. And what do I mean by aesthetics? Well, I mean the visual things that distract you in your house. So I'll give you an example. In my house, we have one room that's just off to the other side of this room that is just full of crap. You know, it just has those extra things that we're not sure where to place it. So we just shove them in this back room and we say that we'll figure them out later. And that, along with the clutter, basically makes a stressful space. You know, if you have a bunch of things out that are just kind of laying out on the floor or getting in your path, they tend to be really distracting and they tend to take you off task for the thing you actually want to do. And the more visual things that are just randomly placed around the room with no rhyme or reason, the more distracted that you will be at times. And the best way that I've found to work around this is just to get rid of most of the things. Now, I don't mean you have to go and be a complete minimalist and that you only have to have one chair standing by itself in a single room, because that would be creepy, let's be honest. But it does mean that you can take a good look around your house and see what things have just been sitting there, not really put to use, and you can either do one of two things. You can either A, donate them to a good charity shop or thrift shop in your area, or B, you can sell them on something like Craigslist, eBay, or Facebook Marketplace. And I've made a lot of extra side cash doing that, and not only has it been beneficial for the space that I've been in and not to have any hoarder mentalities, but it's been efficient because I can use that money for the little extra fun things that I usually wouldn't have that money otherwise, and it's just from stuff I've already had, so there's no upfront cost. It's just getting the profit from selling that item. The other thing I would say when it comes to aesthetics is to think about some areas for your exercise and your health, because as a coach, I got to be on you about that. And when it comes to those areas, I want you to think about your kitchen, let's say. So when you have your kitchen, me being a big food guy, who those habits used to be more bad than good, I would tend to just kind of place items in my fridge or in the cabinets wherever, you know, just to have them around. But what I realized is if I started setting items out that were healthier, those were the items that I kept on the counter. So instead of the sugary granola, I kept the oatmeal, let's say, out on the counter. or more fruits on the counter and not as much of any of the chocolates or baked goods or anything like that. And eventually what happens is, because we're humans of convenience, we want the thing that takes the least amount of roadblocks, which I'll get into later, least amount of roadblocks to get from point A to point B, or to get that satisfaction from that thing. So having the healthy food option just right there in visible view tends to make that option to be the more viable option, and has that be the option first in your mind. And that's the same thing about having workout stuff in kind of an open area that you know that you're going to see throughout your day. So on aesthetics, get all the organized clutter, either get it out of your house or keep the more beneficial things in more of a upfront and in-person view. The second bit I would talk about that has to deal with your environment is stressors. So the two kind of key areas I mean by stressors are things that no matter how you organize your house, you'll deal with some of these. And the two ones are lighting and sounds. So when I talk about lighting, I mean like bright lights. So if I'm in my bedroom and sleeping, I don't have enough money for full, like expensive blackout curtains, or anything like that. I know I could pin some sheets to the wall, but the big issue was that it was kind of distracting from my sleep, because I live on a busier road. There's streetlights outside, there's cars passing by a lot of the time in the night, and it was keeping me up a lot of the time. So I would always have this bright light shining in at random odd hours of the night, and it would distract me from my sleep. And poor quality sleep leads to poor quality progress in everything else that you do. So all I had to do was basically get a dollar mask from the dollar store, and that made a world of difference to just have that sleeping, when I wanted to relax or keep everything else out. And lighting can also be something about the lighting that you have in a certain room. You can get more calming lights versus having some super strong LEDs. There's a ton of options now that could be a bit more calming light in your house versus something that is kind of stressful and distracting of a super bright light. The other area I talked about was distracting sounds. So again, living on a busy street, if you live more in the city, you live in an apartment, wherever you are, you can have a lot of distracting sounds coming from outside, and those can be a little difficult to deal with sometimes because you're just trying to focus on that thing that you need to do. Or you might even have them inside. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean the pinging of notifications on your phone, having a TV on in the background, which is one of my guilty things that I tend to do sometimes when I'm working. And having that stuff really kind of takes you off track from where you need to be. So the two areas I would focus on would be, number one, if it's on the lighting, just to find a better lighting source that's a bit more calming, something that isn't as harsh, and when you're sleeping to be able to block out that light so that your body isn't distracted by the light that is coming in when you are trying to sleep. The second area would be to find a bit more silence. I'm surrounded by my cell phone almost 24/7, but I try to find the best times of the day to where I know I'm super distracted by my phone, to be able to plug it in, let it do its thing, and go outside and do something else, or walk my dog Ona, or just do some other work that I need to do. It's not always fully successful, but it's about building up habits. It's about trying to figure this out little by little. So the sleep quality, jeez. Yeah, how's your sweeping quality? Is your cleaning good? Sleep quality, and also finding some silence in your day, whether that's a few minutes to meditate if that's your thing, or to block everything out with some calming music just for a little while. Something that can basically take some of those external stressors away from the work that you have to do. The third and final area is one of the most important areas, and one that I have the most difficulty with, which is roadblocks. Roadblocks, I would consider, in the sense of your environment, would be things that tend to seem to get in the way when you're trying to go to do some more productive task. It's something that you just run into. So I'll give you an example. When I wake up, if I have my phone plugged in beside me, I've thankfully gotten out of the habit of just like texting or scrolling through my phone while I'm in bed, waking up. But I tend to go use the bathroom in the morning, and when I do that, I happen to take my phone in there, and I seem to be on my phone trying to just check things in the morning, and I've been sitting on the toilet for 30 minutes. Like, I know you spend a lot of time throughout your life on the toilet. I forget how much it is, but it's somewhere in the sense of years of what you actually spend on the toilet. But I have probably spent way more than that now because I've been so distracted by the phone being that first thing that gets in my way during the day. And this can be stuff like your phone. This can be other electronics, like I talked about with notifications on your laptop, because people sometimes connect their notifications to their laptop to get pinged about a message or an update. And it can also be things like I talked about with the TV or any other type of media that would sort of get in the way of that habit or that pattern that you're really trying to build up in the morning or to start your day off with. So what I would do in this case, and what I'm working on, is whenever it's at a table with friends, or whenever I'm at somebody's house, or whenever I'm here at the house, I make sure that my phone, if I can, I make sure that it's put away, and that for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the day, I won't go directly to my phone. You know, I'll either make some tea, or I will just go on to do some mobility in the morning or something else that starts it off a little bit more productively than I would if I was just on my phone as soon as I woke up. So these can be a lot of different roadblocks for people, but the biggest bit I would say is just to keep your phone a bit more out of sight. Just like with the healthy snacks, it's something where you keep the stuff that's more distracting, not going towards your goals. You keep that stuff pushed a bit more away, and you keep the healthier options more in sight. So my healthier options would be having all my running clothes laid out for the morning, and that's actually a good roadblock that'll kind of stop me from thinking about going to my phone or doing something else and being like, oh yeah, I need to run today, let's just go ahead, get that out of the way, and then being able to put that on, being able to go right out doing what I need to do. So with all this, thinking about the environmental things around you that tend to hold you back. Think about the aesthetic things. So think about the visual things. Think about your stressors. Think about what sounds, what sights tend to distract you from doing the things that you actually want to do. The final one is those roadblocks, making sure that if you have a point A and point B that you want to get to and from, that nothing will get in the way of that. That the best thing for you should be that thing that you're able to do without anything getting in the way. I want you to think about these things, and I want you to think about these chains of distraction. So I call them these chains of distraction because if I have this bit on my phone, that makes me sit for 30 minutes, and then sitting for 30 minutes means that I've missed this time slot that I've had to do my running or exercising, and missing that time slot makes me feel less productive for the rest of the day. So then mentally I try to just throw the rest of the day away and go, oh well, I guess I'll try again tomorrow. You got to think about, in that chain, what's the point where from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, what's the link that basically takes you off on another course versus keeping you on that same track? It could be at the beginning, it could be somewhere in the middle of the chain that needs to be replaced with something else. I just want you to think about those habits. This is just some food for thought this week. And again, I thank you for being here. If you are here, and I'm incredibly grateful for that, if you're able to go check out all the social media channels that I'll have linked, but if you're just listening to this, it's at the Coach Zoe You Know on Instagram, and I'm at Foss Movement Training on Facebook, and a few other social media websites. But keep that in mind. I'm thankful for your support. Just remember to take chances, make mistakes, and keep asking questions. And we'll talk soon. Cheers. Yeah, that's good.